All right, guys, listen up. Something weird is happening right now. And the more information that comes out about the Iran situation, the less it actually makes sense. On one hand, we're being told we're bombing Iran to stop nuclear weapons. Okay, that's what we were told. But then the IAEA, IAEA chief confirms Iran holds no nuclear weapons. This is the nuclear watchdog group. They said they don't have any. Iran doesn't even have nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, the Pentagon reportedly is burning through 5 years worth of Tomahawk missiles in 3 days. Okay. Now, if you don't know, we've probably spent about $1 billion in 3 or 4 days. $1 billion. Let that sink in. What could that be doing for you as an American, or here in America, what could it be doing? The military industrial complex loves it. Lindsey Graham loves it. He's probably going to get reelected because of this, because they're going to back him tremendously. But this is where things get really strange. Multiple reports are coming out claiming that U.S. troops were told, listen to me, that this war is part of God's plan and that Donald Trump was anointed to bring in Armageddon. I'm not kidding. Yeah. Let that one marinate just for a second. And while all this is happening, Iran is suddenly showing off underground bunkers filled with advanced drone swarms that U.S. military officials previously warned might actually be advanced Chinese technology, which, by the way, might explain those mysterious drone sightings all over the Northeast right before the last inauguration. Remember that? Yeah, nobody ever gave us the answer for that. When they were asked, Donald Trump, Karen Levitt said, well, Donald Trump said he would find out because Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre said, oh, it's just hobbyist drones. And Anthony Blinken, it's just hobbyist drones. Trump promised that he would get to the bottom of it. And then within a week, when we're still asking about it, we hear, yeah, hobbyist drones. So the same message from the Biden administration as well as the Trump administration. So tonight, I'm going to break down this whole thing because right now, the whole narrative is starting to look like a lot like Iraq 2.0, except this time, the technology involved could change warfare forever. Now, let's start off with the one that actually had me shaking my head. There's been multiple complaints, right? Formal complaints reportedly being filed by service members claiming that commanders framed the war with Iran as some kind of biblical mandate. This is from military.com. According to the complaints, troops were told this conflict is part of God's plan. Listen to me now. Part of God's plan and tied into the book of Revelation. One claim even says that the commander stated that Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus Christ to light the signal fire in Iran to bring about Armageddon. Now listen, I'm a Christian. I follow Jesus Christ. But this right here, this is exactly the kind of stuff that turns Christianity into political propaganda. And that's dangerous because when you start telling soldiers that war is literally part of God's prophecy, you're not making a military argument anymore. You're making a religious crusade argument. Really. And misusing or misrepresenting what the Bible says, what the teachings are for this military industrial complex war is, I mean, just blasphemy, truthfully. It's crazy, but it's a problem. Because the Bible also says Christians are supposed to be above reproach, meaning that we're supposed to operate with wisdom and discernment, not run around declaring political leaders as some kind of chosen instrument of the apocalypse. And look, I supported Trump before. I voted for him 5 times, 2 primaries, 3 elections. But some evangelicals treat this man like he's the 4th member of the Trinity. And that's insane. Trump is not Jesus Christ. He is a politician from New York who spent half of his life in casinos and reality television and hanging out with Jeffy Eppy. So let's keep things in perspective. Because when faith gets used like a weapon in politics, that's when people stop trusting both the government and the church and Christians. And that's how society's fractured. That's how you turn people away from Jesus Christ. Now, here's where the story gets a little messier. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, basically the UN's nuclear watchdog, has stated the inspectors have found zero evidence of Iran building nuclear weapons. None. Zero. Which raises the obvious question: if Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons, then exactly why are we bombing them? To free the Iranian people? Because this story sounds familiar, doesn't it? It should. 2003. Remember that one? Weapons of mass destruction. You were told Saddam Hussein had them. Turned out he didn't. That war cost trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives, and hundreds of thousands of civilians' deaths. And truthfully, it completely destabilized the Middle East. So when people hear the phrase Iran nuclear threat, they're naturally going to ask the same question: are we being lied to again? Now, I'm not saying that Iran is some innocent angel nation, because they're not. But if the justification for war doesn't line up with the facts, people start asking questions, and governments historically do not like questions. I love Tim Burchett. He was asked about Lindsey Graham today, and listen what I had to say.
Go ahead, brother.
Senator Lindsey Graham is now calling for the U.S. to start bombing Lebanon in response to the Hezbollah IDF action.
Lindsey hadn't seen a fist fight he hasn't wanted to turn into a bombing raid, so I just take it with a grain of salt.
I love that guy. I love that guy. Now, let's talk about even something more serious. This is part of the story that actually worries me the most. Iran started releasing footage of massive underground bunkers filled with drone fleets, hundreds of them, possibly thousands, we don't know. And they're not just hobby drones. These things are loitering munitions, essentially flying bombs. Now, here's the kicker. A Senate committee hearing last year revealed something very interesting, and I did a video on this. And again, let me say this before I go further. Guys, I know I upset a lot of people, but I've been told by a lot of people it's just because I'm too soon. I'm too soon, right? Things that I may say, and this is the thing, I get a lot of apologies. It may be 6 months, a year. You can probably see in the comments, there'll be a guy today saying it. People say, man, you upset me last year, but now I know that you were right. You were right back then. The thing is I'm just too soon because I pay too much attention, and I don't fly with the masses. I don't really watch anyone, so I don't get biased by any other opinions, and I do that purposefully, not because I think I'm better than any of the other commentators. It's just I want to give you an unbiased view, someone who is just like you, who works for a living, someone who has a grind, they got family. What can I gather the most information from and fill your time slot that you're giving me with the most information? Things that I find important, that I think would be important for my life as well as yours. And that's the way I view these things. I try to make these things like intel dumps, not so much content in the sense of making this an enjoyable experience. Like, I'm not trying to entertain you. I'm trying to give you intel information. But again, I would say that if you get upset, just wait. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you I'm wrong. I've been wrong, and I've done videos countless times stating when I'm wrong. I'm not going to lead you down the hole and then not course correct if I'm wrong, because I take a huge. I know that me giving you this information, I lead you in the wrong path. It's my fault, and I take ownership in that. So anyway, last year I did a video on this advanced drone technology. Military officials testified that China had been supplying Iran with advanced drone technology. Now, a lot of people blew this off. A lot of people told me I was full of BS. They said that it was technology they believe might actually be more sophisticated than what the U.S. currently has in some areas. And when I heard that, I immediately thought back to that strange, those massive drone sightings over the Northeast, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, dozens of them. One of my viewers sent me, and these things were like flying in formation. There was one of my viewers sent me one flying over his house. And honestly, now looking back, it looked like this thing. Secondly, there was a cop, if you recall, they immediately snatched this video down, but there was a cop that filmed them coming out of the ocean, a female cop. She just disappeared. Nobody ever heard from her again. And again, the government's response was like, don't worry about it. They're just hobby drones. Hobby drones are not the size of Escalades, okay? Yeah, because hobby drones always fly coordinated formations across state lines. Totally normal. It was totally normal that the law enforcement drones, which are like $40,000 drones, couldn't keep up with them. Nothing suspicious about that at all. And now suddenly Iran is unveiling entire drone swarms inside underground bunkers. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Let's talk about that stockpile problem, though. It hadn't got nearly enough attention. According to the reports, the United States has fired roughly 400 Tomahawk missiles in just 3 days. That's about 5 years worth of normal usage. 5 years gone in 3 days. Now, the Pentagon is reportedly preparing a $50 billion supplemental budget just to replenish weapon stockpiles. Now, Joe Biden gave a ton of them to Ukraine, or a ton of our weapons to Ukraine, so he depleted a lot too. So you can't fault it all in this war. We were already depleted. But what it means is two things. One, the conflict is burning through resources much faster than expected. And number two, defense contractors are about to make an absurd amount of money. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, all the usual suspects. War may be hell, but it's also extremely profitable. Why do you think Lindsey Graham remains in his position? It's because he's heavily backed. Donald Trump is talking about here, about the drapes.
Service members here with us too in this beautiful building. Isn't it beautiful? We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains.
Talking about that ballroom again. Talking about that ballroom, man. He was talking about the service members. Switching from dead service members to golden drapes is wild to me. But I also want to let you know that you'd heard, the campaign promise was that cost of living would come down for you Americans while we're burning through billions of dollars worth of weaponry. We're building a ballroom, talking about golden drapes. Food's up, everything's up. You're paying tariff tax. Now your gas is going to go up.
But I have never had more compliments on something I did. People felt it's something that had to be done. So
yeah, Lindsey Graham's.
So if we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
Sure. Gas went up yesterday. I filled up my truck yesterday. They were up. So expect higher gas prices for however long this is going to be. We don't know. We heard 4 or 5 weeks, maybe long term. Talking about putting troops in there now. They're saying they're having tremendous problems with these drones. And they don't know if that our tech can take it down. So therefore, this may be a long, drawn out gas surge. So stand by for that. Now, some good news though. While all this is happening, some of the biggest clowns of Congress are finally getting what's coming to them. Old Dan Crenshaw, Al Green, Jasmine Crockett. They're all taking political hits at the same time. Good, man. And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. Most of these people in Washington are the same. Different parties, same corruption, same war machine, same endless spending, same donors. The American people are tired of it, man. And the fact that voters are starting to push back, honestly, might be the most hopeful part of this whole story. Really. It was great to see that. Both sides of the aisle getting the boot. All these dirt bags. I love it. We need more of it. I say in this election, no incumbents. Vote all new people, fresh people. Get them out. But here's the big question nobody seems to be able to answer right now. What exactly is this war really about? Because the official narrative keeps shifting. It does. First nuclear weapons, then it becomes election fraud, then it becomes freeing the Iranian people. Now it was the destroy the Navy. Which one is it? And now we're hearing talk about biblical prophecy. Meanwhile, China might be quietly testing drone warfare through Iran. Weapon stockpiles are being drained, and the American public is once again being told, trust us, guys. We know exactly what we're doing. History says we probably shouldn't be, because the last time we heard that, we got 2 decades of war in the Middle East. So right now, the smartest thing Americans can do is pay attention, ask questions, and refuse blindly to accept whatever story is convenient for the people in power. Because when the narrative changes every few days, and it usually means something important is being hidden. And eventually the truth always comes out. Stay frosty, stay strapped, stay skeptical, stay dangerous. I'll see you in the next one. Black Scout out.